Are you ready?
Yeah, we're rolling.
What was the most damage done in this case?
I think the most damage done in this case was the sentence that my client received. If you're talking about damage from a standpoint of what he released, embarrassment. Embarrassment was the most damage. It's not, when you look at the SIG acts, when you look at the other charge documents, all that stuff is, as I said before, something that looks to past acts. It's kind of a historical record. I don't believe any of that gave away anything that was sensitive. The diplomatic cables, on the other hand, I think the damage there was an embarrassment of having other people see that we don't always do the right thing for the right reasons as the United States, which might come as a surprise to some people. You would think that when we deal with other countries, when we deal with people who are less fortunate than our country, that we're doing so in a way that helps everybody, that's in everyone's best interest. But that's not always the case, and in fact, frequently we do things that are in our own national interest. And sometimes that is to the detriment of people who are struggling to have what we have here in America, a democracy, a free and open press. And that's a little disheartening when you see that. And I think that's probably the biggest damage, because if people actually look to these documents, they will see that we don't always do what we should do, and we are not always the country that we should strive to be.
What drove Manning to release these documents?
I think what he was seeing and the amount of time that he had to deal with this. If you're in a deployed environment, which I've been several times, you have nothing else but your job, and perhaps going to the gym to work out, to eat, to sleep, then you go back to your job. And for him, I think what probably caused this to accelerate was that's all he had to think about. And because of his moral compass, because of what he was hoping to achieve when he went there, you look back at the Lauren McNamara chats, now back then she was called Zachary Antelak. But you look at those chats and you see a young man hoping that when he gets there he can make a difference. He could hopefully save lives, hopefully get people back safely. How disheartening it must have been when he got there to see that that really wasn't always the mission. And we didn't always just kill bad people. Sometimes we just killed people because they were in the wrong place. And no one asked questions. And no one investigated to see, did we do something wrong? And when we did do something wrong, we didn't come forward with that information. We didn't readily admit the mistake, say we're sorry, and show how we're going to prevent this from happening again in the future. We owe that to the American public. We owe that to the publics that we go to protect and to help them build a good country. And yet we didn't do that. And so for Brad to see that, I think that probably is what accelerated his belief that the public needed to see this information.